Hold on 1 second. Now, gruesome content is ahead, so proceed at your own risk, and this has been your warning. Have you ever had a desire to time travel through history? Well, I can unequivocally say that I would actively avoid the medieval period. Why? For the obvious reasons: the smell, the plagues, and the reason why I'm bringing you this video, the violence. Now, roughly speaking, medieval times, or the Middle Ages, lasted for roughly 1,000 years, beginning in the 5th century and ending around the 15th century. And what sets this time apart is the ghoulish inventiveness that gave rise to a treasure trove of torture methods. And worst yet is the thought of the person that actually came up with these. So for this one, we're going to talk about some of medieval times' worst torture methods. Let's start with the one that initiated this, the Judas Cradle. Now, in my humble opinion, the Judas Cradle is one of the most macabre torture inventions that came out of someone's mind. The victims of this method would be suspended in a harness above a wooden pyramid, and as the torture session proceeded, the victim would be lowered further onto the pyramid, and this would stretch said orifice to the breaking point. And the torturers, they could control the degree of pain by oiling up the pyramid or dropping the victim on it repeatedly. The process could be short or it could continue for days, with the victim being left suspended overnight. Worse yet, it is said that the Judas Cradle was rarely, if ever, washed. Next up, we have the saw, and I'm sure you know where this is going. Before it was used on wood, it was slicing through humans. The victim would be held upside down, allowing the blood to rush to their head, and then the torturer would slowly start slicing them between their legs. And with the blood contained in their head, the victim would remain conscious through most of the slicing, often only passing out or dying when the saw hit their midsection. Next up, a simple but gruesome device, the Heretics Fork. Now, this device might look tame, but it was anything but. Now, the fork, it would be strapped around the neck and placed with the sharp prongs at the base of the throat and underneath the chin. The victim then would be restrained so they were upright, either by hanging from the ceiling or tied to a chair. Then they were just left. Exhaustion, of course, would eventually set in, but the length of the prongs were made in such a way that those who resorted to killing themselves rather than enduring the torture wouldn't die immediately. Instead, once they were pierced, they would go through a long, torturous death by bleeding out of their wounds. Those were absolutely horrific, and there is no good way to end this, so I'll just say, sleep tight.